Hello everyone, my name is Dwayne Kimball, owner and founder of KMD 89 Consulting, Leave No Vet Behind, and also I'm a United States Army veteran. Today I'm bringing you another educational video as it pertains to the VA disability compensation claims process. Today I'm going to be discussing Chapter 35 and permanent and total. I get asked so many questions. What is Chapter 35? What is considered permanent and total? Static disabilities? How do I reach that? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And also, when I'm speaking with vets, they inform me that there are total 100%. I ask the question, are you permanent and total? And they'll say, what's that? And that lets me know that either they don't know if they're permanent and total or they are not permanent and total. 9 times out of 10, they're not permanent and total. So I'll get into that, the definition of Chapter 35, who's eligible, definition of permanent and total, how you can tell if you're permanent and total, and also what it looks like on a rating code sheet. And lastly, I'll get into some of the benefits. Now, these benefits are not VA benefits. They're benefits outside of the VA. One benefit is within the VA under education program under Chapter 35, but the remainder of the benefits are benefits that are outside the VA. And I discuss some of these benefits in a monthly presentation that I do for a local nonprofit organization in my area. So I definitely want to share some of those benefits with you as well. So the first slide I'm going to be putting up is going to be talking about the definition of Chapter 35. So here, what do we have? We have the definition of DEA, Chapter 35 DEA. The program called Dependents, Educational, and Assistance is education or special retroactive training for eligible dependents or survivors of certain veterans and service members. Now, in order for a veteran or spouse or child to use this, they have to have been granted Chapter 35 benefits, okay? So the second reference I list here, who may be eligible for DA, okay? A child, spouse, or surviving spouse. Okay, now, when it says child and spouse, it means it has to be a biological child. If it's a stepchild, then the veteran has to be married to that child's biological father or mother, okay? Surviving spouse, that means a veteran was deceased due to service-connected conditions, okay? The third reference, veteran eligibility for DEA purposes. For there to be basic eligibility to DEA based on the service of a veteran, there must be either an other than dishonorable discharge or death in service. So what that means is the second one is self-explanatory, death in service. But what is an other than dishonorable discharge? What that means, you have to have, there's different types of character of discharges out there, okay? And a veteran cannot be have a dishonorable discharge. If a veteran has a dishonorable discharge for all periods of service, then more than likely they cannot obtain VA compensation monthly benefits. Okay, then permanent and total P&T, service-connected disability. So that's the second half, P&T, permanent and total. All right, and I'm gonna get into the next slide. P&T, SC meaning service connection disability on the date of the veteran's death or death resulting from a service-connected disability. All right, so P&T, service-connected disability on the date of the veteran's death or death resulting from service-connected disability. That means the veteran was deceased due to a service-connected disability, or when they died, they were service-connected at 100% for all their service-connected conditions, okay? So definitely you want to keep that in mind because it could be tricky. Like I said, I come across so many veterans that either don't know what Chapter 35 DA benefits are, or they're 100% and they don't know if they are service connected for the Chapter 35 slash permanent total. Okay. All right. So the second slide I'm going to bring up is going to be discussing the definition of permanent disability. Permanent disability. All right. So what is a permanent disability? And I highlighted here in red. Means disabling manifestations reasonably certain to continue throughout the lifetime of the individual. When a P&T disability exists, it exists, and I'm just going to leave this up. I'm not going to read through an entire regulation, but I'm going to leave that reference up for you. So when does P&T disability exist? P&T disability exists when all of your service-connected conditions total 100%, okay, and the VA has deemed them to be static, okay? Again, all of your service-connected conditions total 100% evaluation, and the VA deems them to be static. So let's talk about static for a minute, all right? Let's just say you're service connected for 5 conditions. But if you have a routine future examination on one of those service connected conditions, even though you're overall 100%, you're not eligible for Chapter 35 and you're not permanent in total. Now, you may be permanent in total for 4 of those conditions, but that one condition is not permanent in total. And the reason for that could be several, okay? If the doctor believes that that condition will improve, then the rating specialist will assign a routine future. Majority of the cancers have routine futures, okay? As long as the veterans are getting treatment, some type of chemotherapy, radiation seeds, or something, then that condition is a temporary 100%, which you won't be eligible for Chapter 35 or considered to be permanent in total unless that cancer, an examiner deems that cancer to be terminal. And at that point, then obviously that condition will be permanent, static, and you'll be eligible for those benefits. Now, let's just say it's PTSD and you get assigned 50% evaluation and a rater, let's just say the rater assigns 100%, okay, for PTSD. And the rater feels that this condition will improve, then they'll schedule a routine future. Now, even though the 100% has been assigned for PTSD, since there's a routine future assigned with that, because the rating specialist feels that condition will get better, you will not be eligible for Chapter 35 or permanent in total. That condition, PTSD, won't be considered to be permanent in total and or static, okay? Now, one thing I did want to discuss is some raters, there's a manual reference out there that states when not to schedule a routine future examination. And I talked about this in one of my previous YouTube videos where I discussed, what are routine future examinations, okay? So this is very key to understand. In that regulation, I want to point out 2 things. In that regulation, it talks about if the veteran is 55 years or older, a rating specialist is not to schedule a routine future. But a lot of rating specialists think that if the veteran is not 55 years old, they need to schedule a routine future. That's not the way the regulation reads, okay? So definitely keep that in mind if you're not 55. And also another bullet statement from the regulation, it states if there's evidence or from the examiner that this condition is permanent, do not schedule a routine future, okay? Now you may ask yourself, well, when does that come into play? Well, think about this. If you submit if you're fit, let's say you're 70% for PTSD, and you submit a disability benefit questionnaire, DBQ, and the doctor states on there total and social occupational impairment and have the symptoms from the symptom sections in the DBQ, and the examiner notes in the remarks section that the prognosis is poor, the condition, PTSD, is guarded and is now considered permanent, okay? So it meets that bullet reference from that manual reference that states if the doctor or examiner states that the condition is permanent. So if your doctor puts that anywhere in the DBQ, then if you're not 55 years old, say for instance you're 40 years old, then the rating specialist should not schedule a routine future exam, grant the increase to 100%, and rate the Chapter 35, give you Chapter 35. That means the condition is permanent and total, and you'll be granted the Chapter 35 DA benefits. Now, there could be other variables that may come into play, okay? So like I always say in majority of my videos, every claim is different, okay? But I'm just using that one example. You had 70% for PTSD, you have a DBQ completed, your doctor states that your condition is, prognosis is poor, the diagnosis is guarded and now considered permanent, and you're not 55 years old. So if everything meets that example I just gave, then you should be awarded the 100%. Also, the Chapter 35 benefits, which means now you're considered permanent and total. Okay. Now the third slide I'm going to bring up is I wanted you to see how it looks on a rating decision. The Chapter 35 grant, how it looks on a rating decision. Okay. So here is how it looks on a rating decision. So you can see, I just typed this up from just basically from memory, from what I used to rate and how the first page of the rating decision looked. So you would have, obviously at the top, which I don't have listed here, is like the symbol, the VA symbol. If you have a representative, that would be above all this information. But what you see is the rating decision. You have the date. You have the introduction, which talks about your military service, and then the decision section, okay? So as you can see, I use the diagnosis of PTSD, okay? Which is 10% disabled, increased to 100. Now, I highlighted in red how the Chapter 35 benefits will look on the rating decision, okay? Basic eligibility to dependents educational assistance is established from June 1st, 2003. Now, this could have changed in the last year and a half since I've been away from the VA, but that's the way it used to look when I was there. So if you're 100% and you don't know if you've been granted Chapter 35 benefits, then you can go back through all your rating decisions and look for number 2 that I had listed on the rating decision example that I gave you, okay? So that's very important. And the reason why that's important, because you're afforded a lot of benefits outside of the VA if you're 100% P&T. Now, by no means am I saying, figure out a way how to get to 100%. Yeah, if you feel that you're entitled to 100%, if you have that many conditions or maybe just one condition, if you feel that condition should be rated at 100%, by all means, it's your right as a veteran to go after that, okay? But with that being said, the fourth slide I'm going to show you, it talks about all the benefits outside of the VA. Now, one of these you are entitled within the VA, but the majority of these are outside the VA, okay? So, and this is the slide that I mentioned that I educate veterans on through my monthly presentation that I do for a nonprofit here locally. So one of the first benefits is no property taxes on your home, okay? Now, that varies by state. I'm in Florida, so what that means is if you're 100% permanent and total, P&T, not just 100%, but 100% P&T, or if you have IU and have been granted Chapter 35 benefits, okay? Either or. You do not have to pay property taxes on your home, okay? So again, if you live in the state of Florida, if you're 100% P&T, not just 100%, you have to be 100% P&T, which is Chapter 35 benefits shown on your rating decision, then you don't have to pay property tax on your home, okay? Second benefit, dependents receive monthly income from the federal government for college based on the amount of credits taken each semester. So let's say, you're obviously, if you're 100% P&T and your dependent is taking a full load, meaning 12 semester hours, 12 credit hours for that semester. I believe it's around maybe between $1,200 and $1,300 a month. That goes directly to the dependent, not the veteran, to the dependent into their checking account, okay? So definitely keep that in mind. And that may vary by state as well. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the federal government. That's the same no matter which state you live in. Now, it has to be an accredited school. It has to be an accredited school, and each state has accredited schools listed on their Department of Education website for their state, okay? So definitely keep that in mind. A lot of vets say, the entire college is paid for. It's not, okay? Now that $1,300 could be used for room and board, textbooks, supplies or whatever, or even tuition, but it goes directly to the dependent, okay? Now, I'm in the state of Florida, so the state benefit is the state of Florida would pay for tuition, all right? They would pay for the tuition. I give the website to the application. Now, the website could have changed. I know it's in Tallahassee. They have an 800 number, but you can go to Department of Education and do a search for it, okay? But it has to be an accredited school, okay? And you have to show proof that you're 100% P&T. And you can go to ebenefits.gov and there's letters. There's a link that says letters or compile letters or something of that nature. And you can find the letter that you need to show that you are permanent and total due to your service-connected conditions. A lot of people ask me about eBenefits. I have an account there. I went there and got some letters, but I didn't do any claim. I didn't file any claims to eBenefits. And even when I worked for the VA employees don't have access to eBenefits. So the workings, the ins and outs of eBenefits, the dates, I don't know how they come up with those. I'm pretty sure there's an algorithm that they use that's running in the back of the program for that particular website. So yeah, I get a lot of questions, but sometimes the only questions I'm able to answer is things that I possibly went in and I did any benefits, and that's about it, okay? All right, so again, the federal benefit is a monthly stipend that the dependent gets every month as they're in school, 12 credit hours. Now, if they're half-time, then they'll get half that amount, okay? It'll be prorated. And then the state of Florida will pay the full tuition. Now, what I understand, a lot of states are different. I've heard Alabama, you don't have to be 100% for the dependent to get the state to pay for the tuition. But I could be wrong. I just heard it, third-hand information. I've never corroborated that. But whichever state that you live in, you want to make sure that you check with the Department of Education and see what benefits the state will pay as it pertains to your dependent's education, okay? Also in the state of Florida, you can get a DV tag license plate, and it's a $4 fee. Now, maybe a little bit more than that, depending on the county you live in, because the taxes could be a little bit different. So take that into consideration. Other states, I've seen other vehicles that have disabled veteran tags. I don't know what their requirement is. if you have to be 100% or not. I know here in the state of Florida, you have to take the P&T letter, which again, you can get off of e-benefits to the DMV to prove that you are permanent in total, okay? And you get, permanent total, those Chapter 35 benefits, okay? Free entrance to state and federal parks, medical care at VMAC, no cost. Check guidelines. Now, I know it used to be that way, but if you become 100% P&T, you want to check the guidelines to see if they're only offering free health care just for your service-connected conditions or everything. I think it's everything, but you definitely want to make sure. So if you get awarded to 100% with Chapter 35 and you go to the VA, which they're not open now, but when they do, and you go and you enroll and you have your orientation, those are the questions that you want to ask, okay? Free parking at airport and cruise terminals. Let a tenant know you have DV place. Again, that's here in the state of Florida. The only locations I know of is Tampa International Airport, the cruise terminal in Channelside and downtown Tampa. I know Fort Lauderdale and Cape Canaveral cruise terminals, you get free parking, and Orlando International Airport. I don't know about like Jacksonville International Airport or Sarasota Airport or Port of Miami cruise terminal or even Miami International Airport. But if you're in the state of Florida or any state, you definitely want to call that location before you go there to see if you get the free parking, okay? Now, the last one is discharge of student loans, okay? I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this one because it's very important that veterans understand this, okay? Now, going back to the different benefits, the educational benefits for the federal side, that's the VA benefit. You have to go through the education department, okay, and apply for that benefits. It'll be in the rating decision on how you do that when they grant you the Chapter 35 benefits. All the other benefits are outside of the VA, okay? And even this one, the discharge of student loans. And the way this works is once you become 100% permanent total, you can apply for your student loans to be discharged. And I believe that's a one-time, okay? It's a one-time action. So if you have $100,000 worth of student loans, that doesn't mean, well, oh, I'm gonna get those paid off and let me go and re-enroll and get a higher level of education, whatever, and rack up student loans and then get those discharged. It's one time. So if you're in school now, if you're 100% and you're still in school, I've known veterans that, hey, I got 1 year left, I got student loan, but I don't know if I'm gonna go to grad school or obtain my PhD or whatever, okay? And they'll wait until they're done with all the education and then they'll apply for that student loan discharge, okay? So you have to make sure that you're 100%, okay? And go to the website. Go to, I think it's the Department of Treasury. If you Google federal discharge student loan process, you should be able to pull up that website and just see what the requirements are. Before you do anything, look and see what the requirements are, because you don't want to discharge student loans and then you continue your higher level of education and you continue to obtain student loans and then you try and get those discharged and they're going to say, no, you've already used up that benefit. So definitely you want to go to their website and get educated. I'm just talking about that is a benefit for veterans that are 100% P&T. I used it, so that's why I'm passing that information on to you. And also keep in mind, at the end of the year, they're going to send you a 1099, and they count that as income. Now, a lot of people say, well, wow, that's going to put me in a different tax bracket. I'm going to have to pay taxes in. So I'll give you this example. Let's just say you have $50,000 worth of student loans. You're 100%, you're P&T, you meet all the requirements. And tax season is coming up and you do your taxes, like, man, I'm gonna get a $5,000 refund. And then you say, oh, wait a minute, I gotta add this $50,000 student loan that I got discharged, Okay, discharge meaning you don't have to pay back. They just, the slate is wiped clean. They just total discharge. You get that 1099, that bumps your income up like 50 grand. Instead of getting, maybe $5,000 worth of a refund back, they may say you owe the federal government $1,000. And I've heard veterans saying, oh man, I got to pay in. Well, you don't have to use that benefit. You don't have to, if you're 100% P&T, you don't have to use that benefit that'll discharge that $50,000. You can just go ahead and pay it, or you can get it discharged and pay the $1,000 to the IRS. So you figure out the best financial situation for you. I know which one I would choose, but everybody's different. But again, I'm only reviewing these disabilities because some of them I've used, and I want to pass those on to you. And also keep in mind, again, that not all of them are through the VA, okay? So if you call the 800 number and you say, hey, I want to know how I get my student loans discharged. Well, unless that VSR at the call center knows about that particular benefit, they may not be able to help you. They may say, well, I don't know what you're talking about. They may not be well aware of it, okay? But when I applied for my discharge, it was like I remember calling, and I was just doing a reduction. And as a federal employee, a civil service employee, you can get the length of time spread out, and then you pay agreed amount, and then they discharge it at the end. Well, I didn't know that I met that the criteria for that particular. I knew I was permanent total, but I didn't know that was a benefit I could receive. So I applied through, I think it's SnailNet. I applied, got approved. I was going to pay like, I don't know, $40 a month for, 10 years or something like that. And then at the end of a certain period, they were just going to discharge it if, I never was late and I still owe the remaining balance. So I remember calling in like a couple of months after that just to check on the application. And the representative, she was like, yeah, it's been approved. The letters went out for you to sign. Right before she hung up, she said, well, if you become 100% permanent total, we'll discharge the whole amount. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. I am 100% P&T. What do you mean discharge? And she explained it to me. She faxed me the application. I filled it out, sent it in, and they discharged everything. So at the time I was working at the VA, and I didn't know about this benefit, okay? So again, these are just some benefits, the Chapter 35, DEA, and permanent total, with those being, and the benefits, the added benefits outside of the VA, I want to bring to your attention now. Like I said, each state could be different. There could be some other benefits out there, and even on the federal level, but these are just the ones that I know of and I want to share with you, okay? So with that being said, I want to thank you for your service. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, subscribe, and hit the notification button, and please share the video with other veterans. So I'm going to leave some information down in the description section of this video, which will list some of my upcoming educational training that I do live. So please click on the link, see if it's a topic that you want to get educated on, and I hope to see you there. So again, thank you for your service. Like, subscribe, hit that notification button, please share, and I'll see you in my next educational video. Thank you.